This will roll out over a period even more than a decade, where we'll have a hybrid. Some things done remotely, some things done on premise. Today we see a very modest amount of this. Some email done remotely, some website management done remotely, but it will broaden out into a richer set of things. And the key element here is the architecture. The architecture that allows the data integration to go back and forth, built on standards like XML and the web service protocols, and perhaps most importantly, the management software that lets people administer things as though it was a single system and really understands the difference between the administrator who's thinking about the privileges of the users and the data center work, which is more about load balancing and the storage management piece, the low-level piece that really no one should have to think about except some software dealing with that on largely an automatic basis. So the whole way we think about a data center will change. It'll be far more lights out, large scale, with software doing 90% of the tasks that are done manually today. The way we write software, it's been talked about for a long time that it's still too low level. And finally we have a revolution coming there where things can be expressed in a higher level form, what we often call a model type form. And you can have knowledge of the domain you're working in so that when you're expressing things, say about business applications or about medicine or about financial statements, that what you write is very, very succinct. It's always been a strange thing that the software for a particular company gets so large, much larger than the simple English description of what that business is up to. And you say, okay, is that explosion a good thing? Well, it's expensive, it's hard to debug, it's hard to change. It's hard if you bring two of those together to see what the common elements are. And so we want there to be less lines of code. Well, how do you do that? You have to express them in a higher level form. These kind of big breakthroughs come because the industry is investing massively in research and development. Microsoft, 15 years ago, we got to a scale where we could build a very serious research organization. And that's become really the most important part of Microsoft. It's how we see out into the future. We bring in brilliant people. And that's where work like speech recognition or proving software correct or model-based software first gets done. It's in that research component. That group has done a phenomenal job of reaching out and working with universities in partnerships, because many of the more advanced radical ideas in computer science are started in that academic world, and making sure that as those ideas are incubated, that then they can be applied at scale with the very complex requirements of commercial software and connecting up with today's systems. That's the kind of thing that Microsoft is very good at. And so we couldn't be more pleased with the investments that we've made in research. Product by product, what places we're leading, whether it's the internet TV that I talked about or this modeling approach, all of those things were first incubated because we took a very long-term view, hired in the researchers, didn't have an exact schedule for when those things would be done, but over time, progress was made. And so, now there are substantial parts of our software where we go in and prove them correct, particularly the parts that relate to security and authentication that are the most important low-level pieces of that software. Even 5 years ago, that simply wasn't being done on an academic basis. Now it's actually not only being done in theory, but being done in important practical pieces of software. One of the biggest changes that will be coming that I think is greatly underestimated is new ways of interacting with these computer devices. Today, overwhelmingly, we use the keyboard and the mouse. And there's nothing wrong with that. If it's one person working intensely on, say, a document or modeling information, that mode of interaction will continue to be very important. But we're finally complementing that with a number of other techniques that I broadly refer to as natural user interface. The idea of using speech to talk to the computer, another holy grail that's required incredible research over the years to build up the sophistication of the software, not at the lowest level of phoneme recognition, but modeling what the topic is and what words are likely to be used, modeling what the typical speech of that user is. And clearly human understanding comes because we have amazing ability to do exactly those things. And so whether it's the phone that you'll be able to talk into and express a search, asking for a restaurant or a stock price or to be connected up to a particular person, the phone, because it's so small, the keyboard, although it's there and usable, that's not the attractive interaction style. So speech built into the phone will become a very mainstream thing. In terms of the tablet device, when we think, say, of students going to school, the idea of getting rid of the textbooks and having them have on the screen something that's very interactive. It's got video and audio. They can test their knowledge. They can collaborate with other kids. It's far superior to what used to be done in print. And we're beginning to see that move into the mainstream. My daughter goes to a school where she's got that tablet PC, no textbooks at all. We've already seen it in some areas. For example, the encyclopedia. It's no longer going to the shelf and pulling down the World Book Encyclopedia. It's going online to Wikipedia or Encarta and getting far, far more in-depth information. In fact, in some ways I envy my children when they ask questions I don't know the answer to. At least now I can go over and say, well, let's look it up. What is the story about that part of history or that type of star formation? We'll go and learn it together. And that just wasn't available before. So this empowerment is an amazing thing. On that tablet, we can touch the screen. We have a pen. We can write. We can have the handwriting be recognized. And so that's another form of natural interaction. Another one is the idea that the computer, through cheap cameras, basically has vision. And so it can see you as you walk around. It can see you as you touch things or manipulate things. So in the future, instead of having the computer on your desk, you'll have the computer in your desk, and the entire surface of your desk will be something that, as you put papers down, as you ask for things to be brought up on the screen that will cover the entire surface there, it'll recognize your hand gestures. It'll recognize the objects there. Likewise, your whiteboard will be an intelligent whiteboard where you can call up video conference if you want, or call up a document, and always the milestones you care about, the red, yellow, green indicators of the key things you're tracking will be up there, and if you point to one, you can dive in and see what's going on with the statistics that are underneath that, and all completely interactive and natural interaction. And so the office environment, as you have the meeting rooms and the whiteboards, the displays changing, that will be very different. There'll be generations of office that connect into those capabilities. In the home environment, likewise, this ability to have intelligent surfaces will be quite pervasive, to organize the family photos, to pick the movie you want to watch, to organize a trip. The idea that you all sit around as a group and just touch and manipulate things, that is a very profound change. But in fact, it can be done without the hardware being significantly more expensive. It's the magic of software and a camera device that's watching what's going on and recognizing that and then behaving in an intelligent way. In fact, just in the last month, we've sent out thousands of our development kits for what we call Microsoft Surface. And that's that intelligent table. The number of applications that people are coming to on this are very large. In fact, one of the ones that surprised us the most is people who have retail stores where you're selling a phone or offering travel capabilities, or people who have the lobby of a hotel where you want to give advice to people about things that are nearby. Those sort of group environments that, in fact, you can walk up and immediately use it, pull up the map, move around, organize things, has made it particularly attractive there. And of course, the hardware in time will get less and less expensive and higher quality. So the idea of even having it so that it's a standard thing in a home type environment will be very, very natural.